So I just love the start of a new month because it gives us the opportunity to just stop, have a look, reflect on what we did well, what's not going so well, things we want to change, things we want to keep in our routine, and just make sure we're on our correct track for achieving all of our goals. So in this video, I'm just going to talk a little bit about some of my goals for this month, some of the things that I'm going to incorporate into my routine, and just a little bit of reflection as well from April. Now, this is a little bit different to the videos that I usually do. It's more informal, kind of a chit chat type of a session. So just let me know down in the comment section if you enjoy this kind of video. And then I'm thinking I would just do one of these every month, like right before the month starts. And I know I have at least 5 people out there that will watch this all the way through to the end. So give yourself a round of applause. Thank you for your support. So if you're new to my channel, you're very welcome here. Thank you for clicking on my video. And while you're in a clicking mood, you might as well hit subscribe. Anyway, so let's get into reflection mood. For me, I found April was a pretty good month. We're having longer days, more sunshine. And because the weather is getting better, I felt more encouraged to go outside and do new things, see people, all that good stuff. Because for me, I wouldn't say I'm solely an introvert, but I do like spending time just doing activities like reading or arts, crafts, those kind of things that are just me by myself and being like introspective and reflecting and stuff like that. But I do know for my well-being and my mental health and all that kind of good stuff, it's important for me to go outside and talk to other people because it just makes you feel a little bit better. It does take a little bit of effort for me to initiate that, but once I'm there, I do enjoy it, and I do enjoy the time I get to spend with friends and new people and just, interacting. So some of the fun things I did this month, I went to this Zimbabwe Freedom Day type of celebration by Pamochate Collective in Ireland. I also got to do this sewing class, which was amazing. I made this little skirt. I'll probably insert a clip somewhere, but yeah, I got to make a skirt, which was really exciting for me as well because I've been trying sewing over the years and I just never made an entire piece by myself. But this was an interactive weekend that allowed me to make an entire piece at the end of it. So I'll put the link to the name of the person that hosts those events and those sewing classes in Dublin if you ever have a weekend and you want to check them out. So now we're at the part of the video where I'm going to tell you about some of my goals for me and some of the things that I'm going to be doing a little bit differently, some things that I'm going to be keeping, all that good stuff. Now, the best way I think to approach your goals and to set goals for a month is to look at your initial goal that you set for the year. So go back and for me, I went back and I looked at that video that I made about setting SMART goals for 2025 just to jog my memory and refresh myself and see what's on track, what's not really on track, what's working, what's not working. And then from there, I kind of set some of my monthly goals. Now, I realize in my own personal circumstance, if I'm trying to reach too many large goals at the same time, I get quite overwhelmed, which just forces me to freeze and do absolutely nothing, which I think is pretty obvious. And you might be able to tell that if you look at how long it took me to post this new video. Anyway, so what I'm doing is I'm setting one large, very energy consuming or energy draining goal for each month. And then I will have smaller goals as well, but they all come together in terms of helping me to achieve my big picture plan, right? So my one big energy consuming goal for this month will be studying for an exam. I know that is very boring and it feels very boring, which is why it's a big energy consuming goal. I'm going to write this exam in July, but I'm going to try to cover at least 40% of the content this month because in June I will kind of still be studying for it, but it will be one of my more secondary goals. So I'm trying to do the bulk of the work this month. Some of the things that I'm doing to kind of help making the study process a little bit easier is I'm using a website that is quite interactive and it kind of is able to keep my attention because of how they've laid out the modules. And the next thing I like to do is I like to gamify my studying. So I've always done this since like secondary school and I think it helps, it works for me anyway because I've been able to get through medical school, secondary school, and hopefully get through this exam, which I know I will do. So when I say gamify, what I do is I treat myself to something that I really like. So something I love is watching TV shows. I know. So if I say to myself, look, if you're able to read 2 chapters of this textbook, you'll have a 30-minute break. And in that break, you're going to watch the newest episode of X, Y, and Z. So I like to gamify the process that way. you might have other things in your life that you enjoy. So, just give yourself little rewards along the way. And for me, that has made my studying process a lot easier. So, the second thing that I'm going to be focusing on this month is in terms of my reading goals. I have not been really hitting that 2 books a month goal. And 2 books a month is not a lot, I know. But for me, because I'm studying and I'm reading all of this heavy content, like I'm never really in the mood to read. I know you can do like audiobooks and these kind of things, but that's just not my favorite thing, right? For the year, I've read maybe like 3 or 4 books. So I guess I'm averaging 1 book a month so far, which isn't bad. Something is better than nothing, right? So the books that I read Atomic Habits. This was so good, you guys. I definitely recommend if you're looking for your latest read. Really good book. Maybe I could do a video where I talk about what I learned about it, but I feel like there's so many videos about Atomic Habits on YouTube. So you could just look at one of those if you want a synopsis or a little summary. The next books I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. That was also really good. And The Psychology of Money. Very good book. So this is in kind of keeping in track with my goal of reading like more personal development, finance related books. I haven't been averaging 2 books per month. So I'm going to reduce that now to 1 book a month. We need to stay agile. Sometimes you need to adjust your goals, and that's completely fine. So the book that I want to read this month is The 33 Laws of Business and Life. So it's by Stephen Bartlett. He hosts The Diary of a CEO, that podcast. If you ever listen to it, he always has really interesting guests there. I always learn something new when I listen. So I really would love to learn a bit from Stephen. It also has these kind of diagrams, which makes it a bit less wordy, and it's not too heavy as a book, right? So I could do like 2 lessons or 1 lesson a day, and the lessons are only a few pages long. So I'm definitely going to finish this book in May, and you guys will hold me accountable, because in my next reset video, I'll tell you whether I actually accomplished my goals. The other thing I would say as well is because I read so many personal development books that I'm finding it really challenging to finish a fiction book. I don't know if any of you guys have that issue as well, but fiction books are important, I think, because they really force you to kind of be a little bit more imaginative, and you kind of have to picture it in your head almost, if that makes sense. So I want to get back into fiction books. At the moment, I have not been feeling any fiction book that I read. So I have a few. I have this one called Iron Flame. I think it's the second one after Fourth Wing. I didn't even read Fourth Wing. I listened to the audiobook because I just couldn't get through it, right? And the book is so thick. I think it's very unlikely that I would finish it. Oh, I just dropped water on this book. Oops. So this is another popular fiction author. So Sarah J. Maas, a lot of people are talking about her books, reading her books. I found the first chapter so difficult to get through. I literally can't. But hopefully I'll get back into fiction at some stage. I'll let you guys know when I do get back into fiction. So in terms of health and fitness, one of the things that I'm bringing in would be hot girl walks. And one of the things I'm taking out would be bed rotting. So only a very specific cohort of people probably know what a hot girl walk is, but basically it was this trend on social media during the whole COVID period that was just encouraging people to go outside and walk and just think positive things and just do something to kind of like uplift your mood, right? So I'm going to start back doing that, and I'm not going to stay inside all day because it's very easy for me to do that, especially if it's like the weekend, or if I'm working from home that day or something like that. I wouldn't even know what outside looks like, to be honest with you. But something else that we're going to be bringing back is budgeting, because I try to follow the zero-based budgeting method, which is where every single penny that you get from your paycheck is assigned to something, whether it be your savings, your expenses, your bills. Everything has somewhere to go. And of course, a portion of it is for like your discretionary spending and stuff like that. Because we're all human, we still have to spend money at the end of the day. Okay, so another thing that I'm going to be bringing back is following my skincare routine. Guys, I actually did such a great job from like about December to February of completely transforming my skin. My hyperpigmentation was dealt with. I was glowing. I looked so good. I'll actually show you some pictures here of like befores and afters. I did my chemical peels, microneedling. I was following my skincare to a T, eating well, and then it all went downhill in April because I had a few acne flares. And for me, my main skin concern is post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. It is so frustrating because I feel like I'm back to square one again. But at the same time, I do know what works for me and I do know how to transform my skin. So I'm following my skincare routine to a T in May. And I think by end of June or so, I should be back to where I was. You guys, do you see this bottle right here? This is the holy grail of my skincare routine, and I ran out of it in April. Hence the reason my skin is in a bad state. But basically, this is the Anua niacinamide 10% tranexamic acid 4% serum. Let me see if I can get it to focus. There we go. Now, this has two very, very powerful, amazing ingredients in it. In terms of the niacinamide, that helps because it's an anti-inflammatory, so it prevents you from having those breakouts. It's an antioxidant, and it also helps to just kind of smoothen and even out your skin tone. And it gives you that glow. I love the glow that I have after using this. And on the other hand, it also has tranexamic acid. What that does is it acts as a tyrosinase inhibitor. And it's important for you to have some kind of a tyrosinase inhibitor in your routine somewhere if you're treating hyperpigmentation. I hope this video isn't too long. And if you watched it all the way to the end, thank you so, so much. Tell me what is in and what is out for you in May 2025. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and come back for more. Bye.